Carolyn Leiloglou is a granddaughter of art collectors, a daughter of an art teacher, and a homeschooling mom of 4 wildly creative kids. Her stories and poems have been published in over a dozen of children's magazines. And her new book, a novel for young readers, book 1 of the Restorationist series, Vincent, who says he's done with art, learns that his family is the last of the Restorationists, a secret society with the power to travel through paintings, and he has to team up with his know-it-all cousin to rescue his little sister who is lost beyond the canvas. It's called Beneath the Swirling Sky. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, thank you so much for having me.
I was so drawn to just the concept of this, and now you've got a whole series that's going to be coming out, which I love. Now, this title for this one very much refers to Starry Night, the Vincent van Gogh painting with the swirls.
Absolutely.
And the main character's name is Vincent, and he comes from a family of art lovers and restorers of art. So what is your connection, but also not just to art, but to Van Gogh?
Oh, okay. So I grew up, like you said, my grandparents were art collectors. So going to their house was always a really interesting experience. You could look at all the paintings on the wall. They also had like bronze sculptures around. And then upstairs, they had this one room that just had stacks of paintings that they didn't have room for. So when the idea first sparked in my mind for this book, that was the exact setting where it had to take place. And then as far as Van Gogh, I've kind of always loved him. I've been able to see Starry Night twice in my life, once in college. It was in Los Angeles, and then I got to see it again this summer on a trip to New York. So yeah, he's just the best.
Wow. Yeah. And there's so much like texture and layers and creativity. There's so much you could do with it as a writer as well. And not just with Starry Night, but really all of Van Gogh and his story. But I love the line that Vincent's uncle says when he starts explaining how the family used to be able to travel through paintings. He says, art is powerful. It has the power to draw people in. Can you talk a little bit about that line and how art and history tie together too?
Yeah, I definitely feel like art has the power to draw people in, not necessarily only just visual art, but, music and books. Hopefully this book is drawing people in and getting them thinking about what it would be like to be inside a painting. So that was really important to me to like kind of explain that. And then as far as history, when he talks about the Restorationist history, how art has always been something that, when one culture takes over another, like the first thing they do is like loot or destroy all the art. Hitler went through Europe at like stealing art. So we know that it has this power, and it has this power to affect us, to express ideas, to convey emotion, and we want to use that in good ways, and to be able to experience that and not neglect it. We live in such a digital world. Sometimes we don't actually go and experience art, or we're not making art as much because we're just so entertained all the time.
But it's true. If art has all that power, we have to know how to use that power for good. And so I'd love for you to explain kind of the conflicting sides here, the Restorationists versus the Distortionists. And then how do you want to inspire young followers of Jesus to be Restorationists?
That's a great question. So the distortionists in the novel, they are the ones going into paintings and altering them from the inside to change the way that the viewer feels about the painting, giving them negative emotions and thoughts, and inspiring like negative behavior that trickles out into society is the idea. So, art can definitely be used to express good things as well. I believe that we're created in God's image in a way that, the first thing we learn about God in Genesis is that he's creator. That's the first thing we learn before he creates us, so that we know that part of that being made in God's image is being creative. And I think it's an essentially human thing to be able to express that creativity and show, just kind of express God's glory in our lives in that way. So I really would love for this book to inspire kids to be more creative, whatever that pursuit is, if it's drawing or painting or music or writing or gardening or cooking. It could be anything, right? But hopefully they feel more inspired to pursue that creativity and cultivate what God has given us, just as we were called to cultivate the garden.
What are some of the big lessons that Vincent learns about himself?
Oh, there are quite a few. but he learns that he's been kind of hiding who he is and listening to the wrong voices about who he is, and when he really should have been trusting his parents and knowing that they did know something about his gift. He was listening instead to bullies and not really accepting that. So he has to learn a lot about himself and about keeping secrets and about selfishness, about thinking more than just outside his immediate self and his sister, but to think about other people. So that's again a part of the later plot in the book. But yeah.
Yeah. I actually heard you in a conversation somewhere else talk about how Georgia has a different approach. This is his cousin, has a bit of a different approach to really everything. And it might be rooted in her homeschooling life. So knowing that our audience is going to be mixed, public school, Catholic school, homeschool kids, Christian school kids, would you, though, because you are a homeschool mom, would you give a plug for homeschool and why you feel like she is in a different position and what maybe homeschool had to do with that?
Yeah, I do feel like comparing my my experience as a private school kid to my kids' experience as a homeschool kid, I've just seen them be able to retain and hold on to their creativity for longer than I was. Like Vincent, I gave up on writing in middle school. I thought I wanted to do it, but I didn't think I was good enough. And so I stopped and I didn't start again until I was an adult versus I've seen my kids, since they don't have the pressure of, being around their peers all the time, right? They are able to listen to our critique of them more than society's critique of them, because kids just tend to put each other down for no good reason, just to make themselves feel better. So they're not as exposed to that. Obviously, they are exposed to that. That we go to church, we go to like all different places. But I feel like it has helped them hold on to that more. And I know homeschooling is definitely not for everyone, but I do feel that is one of the gifts of homeschooling is it does help kids to hold on to their creativity a little bit better.
I can kind of see that because we just put our kid into junior kindergarten. So this is all new for us. But he'll bring home, what kindergarten art looks like. And I'm thinking, I'm not there over his shoulder being able to encourage him or explain that he was created to create. All it happens is he just brings it home and then we can talk about it, but it's in the past now. So I could totally see how that could be the case. And I would love for you to kind of leave us with this. Because I completely agree with you. We were born by a creator to be creative, but we lose that as we get older. How can young people keep it alive and how can older people get it back?
How can young people keep it alive? Well, I'm going to have to speak to parents here, right? Like we have to show our kids that it is valuable by being creative ourselves, by pursuing whatever art God has called us to, by sitting down and drawing with our kids, or whatever it is that they like to do, even if we're not good at it. And I am horrible at drawing, but I'll sit and draw with my kids sometimes if they're feeling discouraged about their drawing or something. So that's what I would say to parents. Let your kids see you being creative in your own life and know that it is still valuable to a grown-up, right? Because kids, they're aiming to grow up, right? If they see that it's not valuable to us, they're going to put it away too. So show them it's valuable. And I've forgotten the second part of your question.
Well, and what about older people?
Adults. Well, I guess that's the same thing, right? Like, pick something. It doesn't have to be drawing. It's not for me, obviously. Like it's writing for me, but it could be something like cooking. It could be for my mom, it was actually home decorating. She was really brilliant at it. And it could be gardening and it could be writing poems for friends on your birthday. Just find a way to incorporate it into your life because it really does have value. And that's really how we were created to be. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Last question. I wasn't going to ask this, but I obviously have to. Book 2. Can you give us like the quick 30-second elevator pitch for book 2?
Okay. I don't know if I have got an elevator pitch down yet, but so book 2 will continue the story when Vincent comes back to train at the ranch with Georgia over the summer. And it's actually from Georgia's perspective. So what she has been wanting and longing for is someone to train with and be a team member with. And then all of a sudden it is a little bit different when Vincent's actually there and she's realizing she has to share the attention she's always had on her own as an only child. So they have some struggles, and it's really, the book to me is really about the importance of small things and that no gift is small. And
Love that.
Comparison is the thief of joy. Yeah, that kind of thing.
Yes. Again, it is Carolyn Leiloglou, and she's got this first book in the Restorationist series out now, Beneath the Swirling Sky. Thanks, Carolyn.
Thank you so much.